Welcome to Breaking the Chain. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Cody.
And today we got some meta results. And we have the question that I'm interested to ask and answer. But is Compendium more like Everfest or Dynasty? And that one is something where I remember leading up to Compendium, there was a lot of talk on oh, I'm worried this is going to be like Dynasty, or what if this is going to be the next Everfest? And then Compendium came out, and I've heard zero comparisons, so I'm bringing it up. I'm putting it back on the chopping block.
Yeah.
And then we are going to go into a little bit of Talistar Sage results and stats, and just talk about a little bit of the Sage meta.
Yeah, and this is basically in preparation for the ProQuest LA, which starts this weekend. There are currently Silver Age ProQuests happening in your area, likely. I guess not if you're in Denver.
Not for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, unfortunately. But Silver Age ProQuests specifically are happening this weekend and next weekend. But yeah, unfortunately not for us.
Yeah, a little more waiting to go.
Yeah. How was your week in Flesh and Blood?
I didn't even think about that part. Yeah, my week in Flesh and Blood, I went to an army, went 2-1, felt pretty good on the deck. Testing online for CC, especially going into the ProQuest for the Sage, although there isn't a Sage event, but going into for the Sage event, I played a lot of Sage and then had a week or a 6-game stretch where I played into only Kanos, and so I'm taking a little bit of a break.
Is the Volda versus Kano matchup not good or something?
Absolutely doomed. It's so bad.
Yeah. I could believe that. Yeah, my week unfortunately was no Flesh and Blood. I feel free to boo me in the comments. I've been practicing Riftbound instead for the upcoming regional for that. So, but I'm gonna get back into Flesh and Blood for ProQuest season for CC, since we don't have any Silver Age events anyway to prepare for, unfortunately. Or at least I don't have one. There is technically one I could go to if I wasn't out of town next weekend, but I will be, so I can't go, which is actually pretty sad. I wish I could play that.
I'm interested to see how that goes. It's a drive up to Wyoming, which
it's fine.
Close. It's not that bad.
It's like 2.5 hours. It's not the worst. Plus, you get to stop at Buc-ee's on the way. And for those of you that don't know, Buc-ee's is an amazing place. And Jacob got indoctrinated last time.
I think it's the only reason I lived through that weekend, honestly. I thought I was gonna die until we stopped at Buc-ee's. I got so incredibly sick. And then we stopped at Buc-ee's. I got some medicine. We drove all the way back down to Denver. I'm like, I'm so much better.
Yeah, but Buc-ee's just it fixes your life. Honestly, it does. It's life changing.
Life saving.
Life saving. Yeah, there.
Yes.
But yeah. Next up, we have a single spoiler. This is not really a spoiler. I put it in quotes in our notes. It is a promo card for the Chinese New Year. It is an alt art EA trot along with a flaming horse on it, which is super sick. Very cool art. If you haven't seen it, go check out on the Flesh and Blood Blue Sky page. Yeah, Year of the Horse. And what's funny is that it looks very similar to the Denver Blucifer. For those of you who don't know, there's this iconic horse statue next to the airport, and it's a big blue horse with red eyes, and it kind of looks similar to it. If the horse isn't blue, but the pitch on cost on the card's blue, so it's kind of relevant. It's kind of similar.
So what you're telling me is when the next Pro Tour is held in Denver, the promo card is going to be a Blucifer cold foil trot along.
It should be. But we'll see when we get our next event.
Take it. Free ideas. You can have
free ideas, LSS.
Or it could channel Mount Heroic and it's Pikes Peak. Or you could have...
That would be really cool, actually. That'd be a sick one. Yeah.
Or Channel the Bleak Expanse, and I'm trying to think
Any
of
kind of mountain range, yeah.
any mountain range inside of Denver, like during the winter. Like,
It'd be really
I
funny
have ideas.
if they had a weed reference on a card.
Oh man, but
uh,
would it be something Earth?
it has to be something Earth, yeah.
It had to be something Earth.
Just like have a marijuana
Channel the
leaf in there somewhere.
Skybreaker.
Wait, I gotta find a card that would work for this.
We're full of
Oh,
ideas, LSS.
it would be an alt art flying high.
Yep. Yep, you got it.
Yep.
So funny.
uh,
It's like some random shop on this corner of a street. It's like
just be like a medical marijuana store or something. It's just alt art.
here's your cold foil flying high. Hope you
Anyways, Alice, let's take our idea. That'd be so funny if they did that.
that would be crazy.
Last week weren't able to cover this because we were recorded before Calling San Diego, so we're gonna cover it here. But yeah, last week was Calling San Diego. It was a Silver Age calling, followed up by a what's the Sunday event called now?
Ground.
No. Battleground is
Oh.
is the new
Right.
smaller tier 2 event. Shoot, what is it called? It's so lost to me. But anyway, the Sunday event, like the PTI event, which actually I didn't get any information on that one. I know who won, but that's about
It's
it.
what was the Battle Hard.
Yes.
Is now
What used
replaced with
Showdown. It's a Showdown.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so for the Calling San Diego, it had 164 players for Silver Age. It was probably a little bit on the smaller side because it was Valentine's weekend here. So only people that were able to convince their significant others to play card games instead of celebrating with them.
And to spend a lot of money while doing it.
Yes. But the metagame, it was primarily Briar with 37 players. Then KO with 20. Kano 14. Phi 12. Dory 10. Enigma 8. Oldhim 8. Farvo 7. Ira 6. Terra 5. And so on and so forth. Oh, actually, I'll do the next one. The next one is Valda with 4. Just for Jacob there. And then the conversion rate was 32% of Briars, 40% of KOs, 60% of Dories, 36% of Kanos, 50% of Enigmas, 60% Terra. So more than half of the Terras converted to top 48. I don't know why they did the top 40. I guess it's just the day 2 count. But yeah, 60% of Terras moved on to day 2, which is kind of crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, and 2/3 of the Lexis made it too. There were 3 Lexis, and 2 of them made day 2. Lexi is very strong, so I'm not surprised there. And then the 1 Vincent made day 2 as well, so that's pretty cool. And then for top 8, if you guys haven't seen this top 8, it is impressive with how the names in here. It just goes to show that Silver Age is a very skill expressive format. It's not as high rolly as maybe some people believe. Because here's some names in top 8: Brody Spurlock, Jude Cornett, Evan Bridges, Jacob Clements, Tao Tao Chu, Michael Fung, Alexander Vore, and Jonah Overholt. I think Jonah is the only name I've not heard of before.
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
The other 7 I know are solid, like really solid players. Stacked top 8 for this event. End up being the finals. And then the top 8 heroes were 2 Briar, 2 Kano, an Enigma, a KO, a New, and a Dory. So actually fairly diverse.
New is crazy.
Yeah, New is insane. But it's Tao Tao, so it's expected.
Yeah.
And then the finals was Jacob Clements on Kano versus Michael Fung on Briar, and Kano took it down. And then the showdown, the winner was it doesn't have the name. Oh, there's the name. Ryan Brown, also on Kano.
Out of the 4 competitive Silver Age events we've had, 3 have been won by Kano.
Yes.
If I had to take a guess on one of the heroes getting benched next season, I'd be putting my money on Kano.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the general flesh and blood populace might be voting on Kano to
There's
be
perhaps a chance.
perhaps. But we will have a BNR after the ProQuest season. The Silver Age portion of the ProQuest season, I believe actually. Um
I
I
just
think that's how
find
it
it
works.
like, how do you solve the Kano problem?
I think you just ban, is it Stir the Aether Winds? Is that the card that
Is
pumps
that
by
the
3?
I feel like the defense reaction that pumps by 2 and the one that, yeah, the non-attack action
Yes,
that
Stir the
pumps
Aether
by
Winds.
3.
I
Like
think
you
if
can
you just
play
ban
next
that
to the
card,
same card.
that's a huge hit to him. Whenever when we were playing our games, I think last week we did a stream and we played some games, and I played some of the top decks into your Valda, or was it
Mhm.
into Valda? I think it was in Valda.
Yeah.
And I played Kano, and that card alone did seem very strong. I don't think it like alone won me the game, but it was very strong to just be able to convert my hand into
Mhm.
an extra. But it's 3 evasive damage because it's 3 on top of whatever I was doing, and that 3 is going to go through because you can only AB 3 or 4 at most.
Right. And especially when you can like put it into the one that opts for how much damage you deal, you just instantly lose the game.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So very strong
I don't
card.
know, it is crazy. I had it like turn 0 against a Kano. They went first. They won the die roll. And turn 0, they like threw an arcane spell for 9 at me. And I was like, prevent 3, take 6. I'm at lower life than you. And then on my first turn, I was down to like 2 health. I was like, okay, well,
Well, I will say though, the defense reaction probably makes more sense to ban. It's I think that the Stir, the Aether Winds really hits the defensive decks, the ones that can convert their hands as well, into Kano, whereas the defense reaction is just it's just good. It's good into everybody.
yeah.
So that's probably the right ban. But
Or you could have them both. I'm okay with Kano taking a few pegs down, but that's me as a Guardian player.
yeah, right.
Do whatever makes him playable LSS, not broken. But
Yeah, because it would be interesting to have him playable, like still in the format. Like I don't even want him to get benched. I just want him to be balanced. Really, I think I would be make for an interesting meta if Kano is there but balanced. But anyway,
mhm.
Kano doing pretty well in Silver Age so far. We'll talk about the meta stats uh, in a little bit, but let's get on to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. Is Compendium of Rathe more like Everfest or Dynasty? Jacob, take it away.
Okay, so again, this is a conversation I heard talked about a lot, and then it just completely died. So but to put some relevancy, because I know there's some like new players to the game that weren't there, especially during Everfest. I want to go over what Everfest and Dynasty were so we can compare them. So first, Everfest is a supplemental set. It was the second ever supplemental set. And when it came out, it like introduced game-changing cards for a lot of classes. And what I have a list of the Everfest cards pulled up here. I'm just gonna name a few from every class real quick. But like you have Swing Big, you had Bear Fangs, Wild Ride, you have Imposing Visage, Macho Grande, Thunderquake, Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, 100 Winds, Wax On. And then for like Warrior, it's very Kasai centric with like Blood on Her Hands. But Blood on Her Hands, there's Blade Runner, which was really good for Warrior back in the day. There's Outland Skirmisher, even in the swing, which is a 0 for 3 attack reaction for the second attack for turn. You go into Mechanologist, you have Tecla Pounder, T Bone, you have, and then for Data Doll, Microprocessor, Ranger, you have Dreadbore, Battering Bolt, Rain Razors, and I guess I don't need to go that deep. I mean, you have Swarming Gloomveil, Revel and Rune Blood.
Mm.
Like, I guess I don't have to go into every class. Either Wildfire came out here. Like, I'll point out some of just the big ones, but like Either Wildfire, Shimmering Silver, Passing Mirage, Pierce Reality, and then the generics I think were the weaker part of it. But yeah, you have all the amulets, which very recently are any of them very seen play. But like look at the classes. Like you see some crazy cards in there. They are class defining cards. Like I was saying, like Aether Wildfire. You have the blue Spectras came out in this set. And this is like that is Everfest. Like this changed the game.
I think
Like
I think you're
the
forgetting one of the most impactful cards from the set, which was Starvo.
yeah, Starvo came out in this set. That's so true. But like even without just the hero who changed the game, a lot of the base cards for the classes changed the game. So much like deck building changed and how you played classes changed and the idea and how you could win games changed. It was such a monumental set. And like a lot of those cards are still ran today. Like Guardians run Thunderquake and Macho Grande because they're blue eights. You have a rain or not Rangers, sorry, Warriors running Blade Runner. You have the Rangers don't run nearly as much of all that, but like Rain
Brutes
Razor's
run a
pretty
ton of
strong.
it. Like
Brutes run a ton of it.
they're just like
Pulse Wave
staples in those
Harpoon.
classes now. Like a lot of these cards are just staple class cards.
Yeah. So it's like something where it's like Everfest, and like a lot of people talking about Compendium is like this could be another Everfest where like you go into the classes and it's like, of course I didn't name a lot of cards. There's a lot of cards that aren't just hits. Not every card's gonna be a hit. But you can go and it's like, there's at least one card in this class that was good for the class. There's this card that was good for the class. There's this card for this class. And like, I want to say like Everfest changed Flesh and Blood in a huge way. And that is Everfest. That was what that supplemental set was. And now I want to talk about Dynasty. And what was Dynasty when it came out? Well, let me pull up Dynasty real quick. Here it is. So with Dynasty, you had the reprint of CNC, which like this was the first like true reprint, but it's also not really a reprint because it was the fabled of the set. You can argue either way, but then you look at this, you get some of the more relevant or no, this is the less relevant dust. Yeah, so not super relevant dust, but you go into like Brute, you have Beaten Trackers, you have Berserk, which saying that now, that's a banned card. But when that came out, it was unplayable for the longest time. It was really bad, and no one touched that card until Heavy Hitters came out, and they banned it before Heavy Hitters even came out because of the combination of what Berserk could do with the new KO. I guess not even the new KO, but the old KO, adult old KO. There's a lot of KOs. Uh, and then you go into Guardian, like it's all the shield defense reactions. Lyeth runs Withstand, and Buckle is a blue card that gets played in Guardian sometimes. You have the entire Tiger introduction of the Tiger combo was introduced in Ninja, which was unplayable at the time. You had Merciless Battle Axe, Quicksilver Dagger. What's a good card out of here? Felling Swing came out on that, and that's starting to show up. Um, sorry, I said this for Everfest. No, Pulsewave Harpoon was Dynasty, which was a huge card. I think it's one of the strongest cards from that set. But Pulsewave Harpoon, BIOS update, and Construct Nitro Mechanoid. Max didn't exist at this point. So my Construct Nitro Mechanoid was very off meta. And even then, when Max came in, it wasn't super strong. But a lot of the Hyperdriver support came out this set. And you can go in, and like Assassin was introduced. And Assassin, when introduced, wasn't very good. But you got cards like Leave No Witness, Surgical. So you got some pretty strong cards in the set. Shred. Rangers got Heat Seeker, which I think was probably the most immediate strong card out of the set. Which is like such a weird thing to say because it's a card that I don't even think is played anymore. Rune Blades,
Not really, yeah. Not really.
yeah, Rune Blades didn't actually get much from this set. You had
Dominion.
Mind Warp that wasn't playable until Acilio came out. You the introduction of Surge. and like we could go through this. Like there are some big cards, like and then Crown of Dominion near the end here of this list. Crown of Dominion, which came out, and when it came out, wasn't run by anyone. It was actually big tech when Dromai picked this up. I remember Dromai picked this up, and they're like, "You can turn zero, create two ash. This is crazy." And but like no one else touched it for the longest time. And yeah, that's really it. But there's a lot of these archetypes that they introduced without like a lot of the extra support. And like looking back on it now, like there are cards that were very strong now, like Bean Tracker is a Sage staple. Like you have Berserk, which was banned. You look down into like trying to find a couple others. Like a lot of the Tiger cards, if you wanted to play the Tiger combat chain, come from this, like Tiger Swipes. You have Roar the Tiger. I don't know if that's actually played, but like Tiger Swipes, there's Key Unleashed, Flex Claws. And then you look at Warrior, which like Cleave was relevant in certain metas with Dromai. You have Felling Swing, which is a Sage staple. And then you have them making Max even better, but Max came out and made Construct Nitro Mechanoid relevant. You have like it was a lot of stuff that just came out and was not relevant until they made cards that made them relevant, made those strategies relevant. So it was a pretty like slow set when it first came out. Well, Everfest was like, hey, here's the gas. Here's Starvo. Here's all these cards. Here's the game. It's changed completely. Well, this set said you're going to be playing the same meta, but if you want to play your hero differently, you can. And that was a lot to go into what are the two different sets. But I think it's an interesting conversation, especially now that we've had a couple weeks. We've seen a couple Sage callings. The pro quests are starting to ask the question of like, which one is Compendium more like? And what are like the differences between Compendium and these two sets in general? So I the first thing I like want to say about Compendium is like I think that it does have some relevant cards that are immediately relevant. But you also see the specialization. If anything, it's more of a mix. It's not like directly either or. But you see cards that came out that like I think Shield Beater's just generically good for Guardian. You have just Sense Weakness, which is like one of those blues for Guardian that you got in Everfest. You go down, you have Blunted, which I think is generically good for Warrior. Like, I think there's a bunch of cards that are generically good for their classes that you have in Compendium of Rathe. But I think there's a lot more specialized cards like Grimoire of the Felling Song. You have Riven, or Valhalla Riven, which is a Valda card. You have a lot of very specialized cards too in the set, like Feign Vengeance, which is only an Ira card. Like she's the only one that can hear it or like use it. But it's something that like it doesn't feel nearly as impactful as Everfest does. Where I think that
Oh, that's not only an Ira card, by the way.
do other ninjas end
Oh
up using
yeah.
it?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
It's
okay.
it's 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 just it's a good ninja card.
Okay, then it's a good ninja card. And that's good. That's very good. And I think also like it's a different lens too, because a lot of this is gonna be very focused on like Sage, which I think it did a lot for Sage, especially in the equipment suite. And like this, like if you look at this like in the lens of Sage, this could be the like Everfest of Sage. Like there's a lot of stuff and like cards that a lot of heroes are just gonna use. Like looking in the Sage, you have the brute, like you have the brute like commons and rares, and each one of them are being used. Each one of them has a hero that it's meant for, and they're staples for their heroes. You gotta um sorry, bleh. You have what's his name? Tough Nut staples and
Yeah.
Bear Hug and Rip off the top. You have aggressive pounce for Reinhardt. You go into the Guardian stuff, and Valhalla Riven is a Valda thing. The equipment suite is generically, I think, like Magnetic Carapace is okay for Guardian, but like a lot of it's very good for Valda, and it's like like relevant. you look at like Ninja, and I don't know how relevant the Ninja stuff is, but Ninja's good. Like Ninja's good right now in Sage. So like Warrior got all of their Unity equipment. That's crazy. I think that's
Yeah.
what's really bringing them into the spotlight. And you go down to like Mechanologist, and Teklo got all of his Evo stuff, which I think is a little more relevant for CC than it is Sage, but it opens up the door. Max has Heart Wrencher. You have Ranger, which I've I don't know how relevant it is, but I've definitely seen Riptides running all the new blue 3 block trap actions. And then you look at like Rune Blade, they're definitely running the equipment. I don't know about much more of the set, but the equipment's very strong. And I think the biggest thing is a lot of it's just the equipment's really strong for each class. You can do a lot. And like for like Silver Age, this is the Everfest of Silver Age. You're gonna have all those important cards that are really good for Silver Age. And it's like I think the CC part is where it's a little more questionable, but I don't want to say that there's not good CC cards. There's not like I think Pirate, you have Cheating Scoundrel, which I think is generically pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you go to Assassin's very contract heavy. I mean, Temporal Wobble, like that's a crazy, immediate, staple relevant card. I think that's more staple relevant than anything Dynasty offered immediately on release. Like Glyph Power Spell is like pretty relevant meta wise. You have like gone through some more cards for like CC, or even like Duty Bound Blitz for Bolton. Like I don't think Bolton's ever gotten this good of support. Like
Right.
that's crazy. Like there's a Pound of Flesh for Levia. Like those two are Sage rares and CC relevant cards. Like I don't know, and like those cards are going to be cards that are like Macho Grande for the like CC meta, or I'm trying to think like the blue Spectra cards for their specific heroes. And I think it's just the game's so wide now. It's hard to make everything like meta relevant. You have like just the elemental stuff, the like defense reactions, like the ice defense reactions, I think are super duper, or the ice elemental stuff with the ice bond, Frosthaven Sheath and Laden with Frost, I think are like super relevant with their frost bites. You have I like doubling season. I think it's fun. I think that's more like we'll see. I think it can be relevant, but I could see it being like a dynasty card that it needs a little bit more support. But I think it's a really cool card. And it's just, I don't think it has immediately as many cards as Everfest did for the meta as, but I think it's definitely more relevant than like Dynasty. And of course, again, I think like the conversation, I just think it's interesting to be brought up. Like, what does the supplemental set mean? What does it do? How does it impact the meta? And again, I think for like Silver Age, yeah, this is going to be one of those like Everfest type sets where a lot of the common rares are really important and they're defining to the heroes in Silver Age, and they push in that direction. And but like for CC, I think it's still meta relevant, kind of like Everfest was, but it's like Dynasty kind of like you have the support. Here's a very specific card for your meta relevant support that works with this hero. So it's a little bit different. And like Compendium's gonna be its own kind of it's gonna be its own supplemental set. But I think I just thought it was like an interesting question to ask and then answer. And just because it like forces you to look at this like set through like a different lens of like how relevant is this set really? And I think the hardest like thing about this set is it raises up a lot of the lower level heroes. A lot of the heroes on the top aren't getting too much support except for Acilio, and a lot of the heroes from the bottom are getting a ton of support to raise them up. And that's where it's like it's hard to see the impact of this set. But like I want to bring that back to Everfest. Like Starvo came out and he just ruled the world. And it's hard to see the impact of any of the other cards that any of the other classes got when Starvo was at the time, the only relevant card from that set. The other comparison that I think is kind of funny and cool to, well, I say cool. One thing like that I think is interesting to look at is I remember when Everfest came out, everyone was talking about how cheap the Majestics are. Like these Majestics are so cheap, they're not worth buying. The set's just it's like it's sure maybe it's fun to open, but like it's there's nothing in here. The only thing that you could pull that's any relevance are like the three legendaries that are in Everfest. Like, I remember when the set came out, everyone was talking about how cheap it is, and, like, I see the same thing with, like, Compendium of Rathe. I'm just like, wait, like, I can imagine here in, like, a couple of years, there's a few, like, staple Majestics that haven't been reprinted, and, like, Swing Big was maybe $2 when it came out.
Really?
How
I didn't
much is
know
it
that.
now? It was so cheap because
That's
no one
crazy.
played Brute. It wasn't seen as a good card because it just wasn't relevant. Like I remember getting my swing bigs for like a couple bucks because I played Levia back in the day and it was good in Levia. And I'm like, swing big seems pretty okay. I'll get some swing bigs and pick those up. And then I remember when heavy hitters came out and swing big shot up to like $30 a copy. Like
Yeah.
I was mind blown because I remember back in the day, everyone was talking about how Swing Big's so cheap and it's never gonna sell for anything. So it's like I just think it's an interesting comparison. But overall, like again, the answer that I've come to and something I've thought about over the past couple days a lot was it is like the Everfest of Sage, but I think it's going to be its own kind of CC supplemental set. Which, like, again, I it's its own supplemental set. It's gonna have its own impact. But I sit more on the side of Everfest, but it definitely does have the tendencies that Dynasty does. There's a couple archetypes that like doesn't quite make sense. Like a few of the Ninja Majestics, I'm like, okay, like I could see something being introduced to make this relevant, but it's not super relevant now. And like, oh, there's a couple like Majestic cards all over the place. Like doesn't really make sense, but whatever. But I think each class has something meta relevant, if even if it's just for like one or two heroes.
Yeah, I have to partially agree with you there. I think that's something that is glossed over so far, and I had to double check this myself. Compendium of Wraith is basically twice the size of Everfest and Dynasty, not combined, but each. Um, so that's something to keep in mind is that this set has twice as many cards as those sets have, and therefore it's going to have some hits. It's going to have some duds and some hits, and it's going to have such a wide spread effect. Um, and I think that like you mentioned too, I would almost say it's Everfest for Silver Age and Dynasty for CC. There are some heroes like Acilio that got insane support in CC, but most heroes didn't get anything too crazy. Obviously, Vincent got an insane offhand weapon. Um, Dio got a really good upgrade in the form of the Teklo Trebuchet, and Teklo Vossen is actually a hero now. um, there's definitely like a lot of good things that are coming out of this set that like say Everfest level set, even for CC. But I think it's mostly just due to the sheer size of the set. I think that there's just naturally going to be a large effect because there's so many cards printed compared to the other two sets, compared to Everfest and Dynasty. Um, but yeah, no, I agree with a lot of your points. I think that, like you mentioned, looking in the future, we're gonna point back to this set and say, wow, this set had a lot of good cards for some heroes, right? Bolton got
Mm.
so many good upgrades. I don't know how meta relevant he is right now. I haven't quite looked into the CC meta. I know when you played it against me in some testing games, it felt super strong. Um, I think it's simply overshadowed by the current meta, but will be very relevant soon. I think that uh, there are some other heroes that got major upgrades, but aren't just don't have their time to shine yet, and will be. I think the impacts of this set will be felt very soon, just not currently. And I think that this set will be looked at as an Everfest style impact on the game.
Mhm.
But currently feels like a Dynasty level impact in terms of CC. Feels like a Dynasty level impact right now because of the current meta. But I think in a few months, honestly, this set is going to be like, wow, there are power cards for every hero. Like this, everything, everybody got something. Everybody's like the whole. I was telling Jacob before we started recording. I think that this set basically is like Everfest, where Everfest brought all the heroes up at the same time, and this set is the same thing. Almost every hero got something, some a little more than others, but it brought everybody up a bit a notch.
The one thing I want to say is like it felt like the thing about Everfest, everyone went up. This set feels a lot more like the bottom went up
Yes,
to kind of
yes.
match the rest, which I think was way more necessary. But I
Mhm.
think it feels like much less of an impact. Like, oh, these decks that like are just unplayable. Like you look at Mechanologist outside of Dio, like who's gonna play them
Mhm.
other than Tanner? And but
Shout out
now they're
Tanner.
brought up, and I think but now it's like I think they're pretty relevant. Like Fi got a huge amount of support for someone that's gonna LL next week, like the
Yeah.
first week of ProQuest season. Like, but it's a hero that's just been on the back burners for years at this point.
Mhm.
It was Worlds Barcelona that he won, like,
Yes, Barcelona.
and that was like the last LL points he got. There's been pro tours. There's been another worlds. There's been so many things that happened after that, and it's like I think the support that a lot of these heroes are getting are really cool to like lift the lower end of them. And then also you get like the expansion of some things like chaos. I love all the chaos cards. It
Yeah,
makes me want to play chaos so bad. I
right.
just don't want to play assassin. Like
um, and something else too, by the way. Speaking of assassin, Dynasty introduced a lot of the core assassin cards. Not only did it introduce Arachne Huntsman, but Leave No Witnesses, Surgical Extraction, the like core daggers are
mm,
first came out in Dynasty, and the assassin wasn't relevant at the time, but it really paved the way for New to be a super strong hero. Um, Whenever she did come out. So I think that we're also going to see something similar with Compendium of Rathe, where future heroes will benefit greatly from the cards released in this set.
the last thing I want to say, Compendium of Wraith, that neither of the other two sets had was the reprints. Like we
Yes.
didn't get any legendaries that weren't reprints, and the reprints have been super impactful. Like, let me look at this live, but Command and Conquer.
Yes. Command and Conquer is at the lowest price it has ever been since I played the game. Actually,
I think it's the lowest priced ever, like
potentially ever.
ever.
Yeah. I think
Like
it's been at least $60 ever since I played the game. And the last I looked, it was 45. What's it at now?
it's been at least 90 since I've played the. Maybe it dropped to 70
There was
for a
there
weekend.
was yeah, there was like a week where it was like 60, I think, and then that was it. Like that's the lowest I've ever seen it.
Yeah. But for a while, like as soon as the set dropped, there were CNCs for $40.
Yeah.
Now they're sitting at 55. There's two listings at 50, or like there's the white border 55. There's the original at 55. There's the new CNC at 70. The Command and Conquer from Heavy Hitter or Hunted at 70. And then you have a bunch of the juiced ones. But considering that CNC the 55s are the lowest I've ever seen them, and the 70s are still the lowest I've ever seen them, and those are the new legendary versions.
And
Crazy. Like,
yeah, and like Tunic is now below $100. Um,
which I don't think I've ever seen that either.
I don't think so either. I don't think I've ever seen it below
Like,
100.
I think it's done crazy amounts for the reprints.
Mm,
I think it's understated by a lot of other like content creators is how much it does for reprints. Like, because I think yeah, I understand. Like you want them to be a lot cheaper. Like I would love for CNC to be $20, but like it is. I've been needing a second set. Like me and my partner play Flesh and Blood together, and we've been like sharing my CNCs around our decks, and it's been something where it's like some weeks I go with just a random 2 for 6 in my deck just because I don't have CNCs. like I saw them drop to $50, and I'm like, I can finally buy a second set. Like I have a second set, so I don't have to go to Armory like when I'm not playing Valda. Which I guess it's been a minute, but I think it will help me want to play other decks than Valda. But it's like when I'm not playing Valda, I can go and bring my own pair of CNCs now. So it's like now we have our own sets of CNCs, and I don't have to put like Humble in my deck just to like. So it's like really cool, and it's like, and I just gave her my old CNCs. I'm like, these are yours. You can just have them. Like it's
Yeah, it's definitely improved the affordability. Maybe not as much as we would hope, but it's still improved the
mhm,
affordability of the game regardless. I've been saying forever. I think this set is phenomenal for new players into the game, which is always good to have prices come down, let the new players come in. I know that
yeah.
top meta decks, obviously not including Acilia. Acilia kind of raised in price because all the Majestics raised in price with them, but. Uh, there's a lot of decks you can get now for a much cheaper. You can get a solid meta deck for very cheap now compared to what like years ago.
You can get Crown of Providence for $70.
That's crazy. That's that's
That
that's really
card
nice.
was 250 on release. It's
Mm-hmm.
been 120 at its lowest that I
Yep.
remember.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
like
haven't
never.
checked
Yeah, it's always been
right
like at least
before.
$100 before.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, a lot of these cards are still really expensive. It is still a very expensive game. But it's something where it's like my Valda deck used to be like $1,700 because of the generics that were in it.
That's
Like it
crazy.
was actually absurd how expensive it was. It was or like maybe not 17, but it was like few $100. I think it was like 1,500. And I can pull that up too. Like I did take out one Fabled, which I think definitely helps. That brings it down like 200. But can like here. It is $700 right now. It
Less
is
than half.
half, yeah, like less than half the price of what
That's
it
nice.
was before this set released. And that's just because it was all in the generic Majestics. Or like the generic like legendaries, like quick dodge flexors.
Oh, quick dodge flexors is a big one too. Yeah.
Or can I yeah, quick dodge flex. Well, and I think just other like generic reprintings or even just good cards for Guardian, like replacing some of the like other cards that like weren't super duper necessary. Like I've been looking to replace and they gave me a card that I can finally like put in the list. But yeah, it went down a lot. And of course I took out a Fabled, so a bit of that
Helps a
stat
bit,
price
yeah.
there. Yeah, it helps a bit. But I'm like, so but it still drops like 400, $500 from this set. It's like I think that's a lot. I think that's like I'm not gonna look. I'm hoping I don't look at as many competitive decks anymore, and they're in the thousands of dollars. Like I'm hoping I look, and it's like, oh yeah, that's like this many hundreds of dollars. Which again, like if it came down, I'd be happy as well. But it is like I think it's a very good thing that I can look at a competitive deck and not say it's $1,000. Like,
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, right? Like not only is Classic Constructed cheaper to play now, but there is a budget format that is very competitive and
mhm,
is a very good way to play the game right now too, where you can spend less than $20 on a top meta deck, which is absolutely insane. You can get an invite to Pro Tour LA this weekend with a $5 deck. I mean, it's probably more than that if you like buy off TCG Player, but the cards are
yeah,
realistically like pennies for some of these top meta decks, and it's just crazy to think that you can go and get your invite there, and then build a competitive CC deck for less than $500, which is about where other games are at these days, and
mhm.
it's great to be like Flesh and Blood has been known as the most expensive game to play, which I don't think was necessarily accurate, but it just has been. It's
I think
been
it's semi accurate.
it's been in certain metas it's been pretty accurate,
Yeah.
but it's not always been the most expensive game to play, and I think that it's definitely trending downward. And it's fixing those issues It's slowly but surely getting cheaper and cheaper to play in Classic Constructed, and we're seeing that trend, and it's such a good thing for the game. It's such a good thing to get new players in, and new players get to step in the door with Silver Age. determine if they like the game or not, which they will fall in love with it. Most players will, and then they can then move on to CC after that and slowly pick up their staples or figure out what deck they want to play, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it feels like it's a much better onboarding ramp instead of here's this super expensive deck that you probably don't want to buy on top of I'm gonna beat you down for 4 hours straight.
Yep.
Do you like the game? Do you
Right.
want to buy in?
Right.
So where it's like in Sage, it's like, hey, here's a $20 deck that I bought off the shelf. You can have it, and it has a pretty good chance of winning. But yeah, I think this set, like, I think out of anything, this set's probably going to be remembered for its like reprints and its Sage meta relevance,
Yes.
which is something that is very defining and very different than the other two sets. And like I said, Dynasty had the first ever reprint, but it wasn't a reprint. Like it was DNC as the most rare fabled. So I think this is going to be like a defining set for its own reasons.
Yeah.
And I just like, and I think it's something that a lot of people have come to the conclusion to, but it's something that I think.
Well, and then
Like I saw the question come up, but I haven't seen an answer.
I don't remember where it was said. I think James White tweeted out, but I think he said this is already the best-selling Flesh and Blood set, or something similar.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find exactly what it was that he said, but something about the success of Compendium of Rathe so far.
Yeah, and I like my thought is it's like to distributors, like it's been bought by distributors more than any other set has. And I think there's a few reasons. I'm sure they could have just printed more than any other set. I like I find that hard to validate, but it's a supplemental set, so it's something that everyone's gonna buy. So like that's understandable compared to like I don't know, the last set, Super Slam, where
Well, I think something too that's like, and I think I noted this last week because I got a case. I do not have a playset. There are so many cards.
yeah.
I do not have a playset yet.
Yeah.
You need like 2 or 3 cases to get a playset of this set. Whether or not I buy more cases or try to like grab singles for the rest of what I'm missing, we'll see. But that's time will tell. But yeah, you need a lot. Yeah, you need a lot of. There's so many cards that one case does not get you everything. For comparison with previous sets, when I buy a case, I usually am only missing like 5 to 10 rares total. And I'll go grab those around. But with this one, I'm missing a lot. I didn't even get a playset of my Tekla Trebuchets for Dory, or not Dory, Dash. I only got 2. So I need another one of those for my Dash. For my deck.
Good for you. I have one.
Hell yeah.
That I'm holding on just for you. I'll put it in with the other stuff I have to give you. But
thank you.
The one thing I think this set could have done better is I think is not very fun to open. You open the pack on top, you don't pull anything, and the rest of the box is whatever.
Yeah.
I think if you're to hold on to this for 2 years.
I lost Jacob again. Sorry, audience. All right, we're back now.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. But like if you hold on to this for 2 years and let it accrue like some stuff or like accrue in value over time, then it'll be a lot more fun. But I think the only problem is, right now it is not a fun set to open.
Yeah, and that is something that I didn't really want to touch on yet, but like I bought a case and I bought it for $400, which was a great deal on the case, by the way. And I probably pulled $100 worth of cards. I didn't. The set is super cheap to buy right now, which I think that if you haven't picked up playsets and stuff, I would take advantage of that. Like all the rares are, well, not all the rares, but there's a lot of rares that are really cheap that I think shouldn't be that cheap. I think people will start figuring out that that these rares should be more expensive than they are. The Majestics should be more expensive than they are, just because they're so hard to pull the specific ones you want. That once they become relevant, then they'll be rarer than people think. But anyway, I want to gloss over that a little bit because I think that will fix over time. Like you said, these cards will raise in value. But currently, it feels bad to open because you open a lot of cards that are worth dollars, maybe, as Majestics. And yeah, like you mentioned, I didn't open anything in my antiquity packs. I didn't even open a single cold foil. They were all just normal foil antiquity border cards. And so that's where like a lot of the value of the set is in those antiquity packs, which I'm not a fan of, by the way. I wasn't a fan of the high
Yeah.
seas pack, and I'm not a fan of the antiquity pack either. Like the box topper packs, because a lot of the value ends up getting pulled into that pack. And so if you don't pull anything in the pack, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, you don't have a lot of fun pulls in the set itself.
Yeah, it ends up making a really weird thing where it's like, okay, I'll just open the box so I can then open the pack last and hope
Right.
I hit something. Like I'll just get through the box, get through my bulk, and hopefully I hit something good. Or you open it first and you're like, okay, like I hit, that's sick. Now I have to open the box. But
Yeah, exactly. Now I gotta sort through all the other cards. Yeah, it's nice
yeah,
that there's
or
three
it's like
cold foils per box. That is nice.
that's cool. The cold foils are super sick.
Yeah, but it's still not enough. Unless you hit marbles, and even some of the marbles aren't very expensive. Like the Evo base marbles, they're gorgeous, by the way, but they're like in the $15-$20 range.
A lot of the
For
Marvel
those really,
heroes are only like $30. Like,
yeah, like the popular ones are definitely up there in like 80 to 100 range. But yeah, there's a lot of. I wanted to pick up, like, I think Droma is only like $40 or something, so I was gonna pick it up, the Marvel, which it's nice for
actually,
picking up singles. It's nice to get the Marvel
yeah,
Silver Age hero you want, but in terms of opening the set, it's not great.
yeah, that's that's the only like gripe I have. But if you're buying singles, this is a sick set. Like,
Great for buying singles right now.
yeah, and that's like
Phenomenal.
I bought 2 boxes, pulled probably like maybe $50 worth of bulk, and I'm buying everything else that I need.
Mm. Yeah, I can get Dromai for $32, which is actually really cool.
It's pretty
Um,
cool. Yeah, that's I think that's kind of like the conversation about like what is Compendium of Rathe. And again, I think it was just an interesting topic and it's something I've been thinking about the last couple days. So I heard about it a lot beforehand, but I haven't heard anyone bring it up afterhand. So here we are. The
Here we
hit
are.
podcast breaking the chain, covering what needs to be covered.
um, Anything else you want to talk about before we move on to the Talishar Silver Age stats?
I think I'm ready to jump in.
All right. So I thought that was interesting. This was interesting because we have a good amount of stats from Talishar now from players playing Silver Age. Um,
Hmm.
and so I don't want to spend too much time on this because it is a developing meta and everything. But we have ProQuest season. That's we're gonna get some stats from. It's gonna change the meta a bit. But some notable things. The highest win rate heroes on Talishar, Briar at 59%, KO at 57%, Dory at 58%, Ira at 60%,
Hmm.
Olympia at 58%, which is just the same as Dory, really. Uh,
They're the
and
same deck.
they're the same deck, yeah. And those are the highest win rate heroes. Kano on Talishar is at 46%, which is kind of just going to show that it's Talishar stats.
Yeah,
Same with Enigma. Enigma's only at 44%, but I do think the deck is much stronger than that the
I think
stats
it's way
say.
stronger.
Yeah. Um, what else is notable here?
Falda at 55%.
Valda at
Gotta bring
55.
that up.
Vincent at 51%.
I
Um,
mean,
Dromai at 52%.
in the win percentage, you have a lot of the Guardians right in a row because you can organize it by win percentage. So
Right.
you have Valda 55, Bravo 54, Olden 53, Victor 52, Terra 51. Like you just get all the Guardians right into each other. And then you have Dromai at 52% as well. She kind of breaks up the Guardians, but
Right. Something to note. I'm looking at Briar's stats on Talishar. She has exactly 2 losing matchups, and that's it. And it's
Oldhim and
Oldhim
Terra.
and Terra. That's it. Every other matchup is favorable or 50-50, which is
Yeah.
absolutely
Absolutely
insane.
insane.
That's disgusting. So Briar is clearly the best deck in format, at least at a like overall meta. We saw like I mentioned before for the Calling San Diego that only 2 Briars made top 8 and one made finals, but Kano ended up taking down the tournament. I do think that probably the Kano stats into Briar are a bit. I think the Kano stats overall are lower than they should be. Kano's
Yeah.
probably has a much better Briar matchup than the stats indicate.
I think that Kano's just a tough hero, and I think he's best deck in Sage right now. Like he's won the
Yeah,
most events.
yeah,
I think he's just best deck. I just think it's a bunch Talistar's a bunch of new players jumping on the Sage and playing it. And like maybe not just new players, like me also building a deck from scratch, not knowing how to play Talis or play Sage and getting smoked. Like the win rate on Valda probably went down quite a bit when I played so many Kanos in a row. Like
right.
it's like I think that Kano's a hard deck, and there's a lot of people that don't know how to play Kano and understand that he's one of the best decks in the meta, and I think he takes a lot of win rate. Like his win rate drops a lot because of that.
But yeah, those are some notable ones. I am concerned for ProQuest season what this will mean. It does feel like there's
Yeah.
going to be a ton like if I had to predict the pie chart that we're gonna get on, I think it's on Mondays, right? If I had to predict what the pie chart's gonna look like, it's going to be overwhelmingly Briar and Kano. Probably like 50% is going to be Briar and Kano, if I had to guess, of taking the wins there, followed by Decimator decks, and then followed by your, I think anything like Guardians, uh, Enigmas.
I think after you get past like DGA, uh, Kano, and Briar, like you're gonna have a pretty wide meta. Like
Yeah,
I think once you get past that first 50% of the meta, it's gonna open up a lot.
yeah. I will say I'm actually kind of impressed here. Dromai has a 46% win rate into Briar. It's actually not bad at all.
That's really good compared
Yeah.
considering how good Briar is.
Yeah, that's actually that's impressive. Dromai might be a bit of a dark horse in the meta. It does have a terrible win rate into Decimator Great Axe, which I'm kind of surprised by actually.
Dromai? No, she has a good win rate into Decimator Great Axe.
Oh, I was looking at KO. My bad. I was looking at the wrong column. Yeah, terrible into KO, which does make sense actually. But yeah, good Decimator Great Axe matchup. Actually, it's a good Kano matchup on Talistar stats. I'm actually not quite sure how that really lines up, but we'll see. But actually, fine into Briar looks like, and favorable into the Decimator Great Axe decks. Not good
If
into
you want a
into
deck-
Guardians.
If you want a deck that's good Nikeo for whatever reason, I've got to do my advertising yet again.
Of course.
Valda has a 76% win rate into KO.
Yeah.
If you want the deck that beats KO, your armory's all KO. I got you. I know the hero.
Yeah.
Hit me up. I'll give you a list.
Actually, that would be you should do that. You should do a Valda Silver Age deck tech.
I want to make my deck tech much better. I am actually much more comfortable with my CC deck tech, but it also went on like a crazy win streak last night with it. I was
That's
like
awesome.
playing it. I'm like, oh, this deck just feels so good. It
You
was
should
like
do some more deck tech.
I should.
Yeah, those are fun.
Today we release deck techs.
Maybe. I'm definitely like once I'm done with my Riftbound stuff. Sorry, I know I'm terrible. Once I'm done with my Riftbound stuff, I'm gonna be doing a lot of Silver Age. Well, I have to prepare for CC for ProQuest season, but then I'm gonna be doing a lot of Silver Age content here. That's the plan. I want to do a ton of deck techs. I want to do testing videos. I want to do everything. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks. I think we're gonna have a lot of additional non-podcast content on this channel pretty soon, which I'm excited for.
Looking to add more.
Yes. Yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up today's episode?
No, I've talked too much. Like
No,
always.
you never do. Well, thank you all for watching and listening. Please give us a like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton. And the question we'll leave you with this week is, who are you excited to play in Silver Age? Are you feeling a certain hero that isn't quite represented in the top of the meta right now? Let us know in the comments below, whether on YouTube or on Spotify. And with that, I'm Cody.
And I'm Jacob.
Thanks for watching and listening.